Welcome to Cigar City Radio, episode number 55. I'm your host, Randy Ojeda, and making the magic happen, a man with devious intentions, Jason Solanas.
Hey, Randy, what's the difference between Kim Jong-un and an ashtray?
I'm not sure.
Giraffes like pudding. I mean, there's no real logic to any of this shit. I'm gonna
what even is life if we're going there?
I don't know, man. Did we really make Kim Jong-un ashtrays and giraffes with pudding?
Yeah.
Existential?
Yeah, it is existential. It's all existential.
Yeah, it's all part of the universe, right?
Yeah, or not at all. Hey, you, Cigar City Radio listener. If you're listening to this show and you like it, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Cigar City Radio. Also, please subscribe to our mailing list to get music, info, and news and everything sent right to your inbox. Algorithms be damned. Just go to cigarcitymanagement.com/subscribe. You'll find the link there where you can put in your email address. We'll send you cool stuff, but we won't blow up your inbox, we promise. It's all very tastefully done. Like our show, right? Our show is very tastefully done.
The episode you're about to listen was recorded at the world-famous Blind Tiger Cafe in the heart of Ybor City, Tampa, Florida. The Blind Tiger Cafe is a speakeasy-inspired coffee house to serve vegan pastries, coffee, tea, beer, kombucha, etc., etc., etc.
Our guest on this episode is James Alex from Beach Slang, who was performing at Pre-Fest 5 in Little Ybor, part of the Fest 16. He's got a new album out under his name, Quiet Slang. It's called We Were Babies and We Were Dirtbags. Features a cello piano voice played softly. So see, Beach Slang to Quiet Slang. Quiet Slang. It's a fun thing to say. And our guest host on this episode is Ray Roa from Creative Loafing. I had to unexpectedly go out of town, so I wasn't able to make this one. But Ray filled in admirably. If you're not familiar with Ray, you can go all the way back to episode 2 of our podcast, where we interview him. He's also sat in on several episodes with Post Animal and a couple others that I can't think of now. But we see him all the time. Ray. We can't get rid of Ray. So now you can't get rid of Ray. That would be an interesting... You can't get rid of Ray.
He should maybe start a band called You Can't Get Rid of Ray.
That would be his mix.
Thumb it at people.
That would be his mixtape. You Can't Get Rid of Ray, and it'd be him with like throwing up gang signs. We're going off the rails, just like this interview did. No, I'm kidding, Ray. Ray did a great job. Thank you so much, Ray, for filling in. If you liked his voice and his gentle tones, maybe we'll have him on again. We'll definitely have him on again. He's Ray. Yeah. He's around all the time.
He's got a soft voice.
So here it is, episode number 55.
So should we do like an intro then? So we're sitting here with James Alex from Beach Slang and Charlie Lowe. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Tour manager extraordinaire. Is this the only? Is this your first band that you've been TM for?
Oh yeah, because before James saved me from my terrible job, I was in the corporate world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Maybe we should get into that. So you met James at Fest 2 years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago, which was Beach Slang's first Fest at Rockies.
Right.
And you were in the crowd.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of hit it off, just cool, like BFFs. And what is that conversation like? Oh.
Just make sure you're talking to the mic.
I'm sorry.
What is that conversation like where it's like, yo, do you want to be like the tour manager?
We actually met at 1982, which is like not a fest show, but like a pre-fest unofficial show, whatever. So then, so I like ran up to him after the show and I was just like, I just love your band a lot. And they gave me like the best hug ever. And then we exchanged numbers and just like hung out over the weekend. And then
and the first thing she sent me was a video of her doing a shot of Malort.
Oh yeah.
It was just like, I was like, oh, I think we're
Malort?
Yeah. I was like, I think we're gonna get along great, right?
Yeah.
But that was like the first sort of exchange after meeting, hugging, and saying, oh, let's keep in touch while we're down here. So the first text I get is probably an hour or so later, and it's her doing a shot of Malort, and I was like, oh, there's potential here.
Yeah.
Hold on, you like Malort?
No.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's like punishment. Like, you remember Buckley's, the medicine? Did you ever have to drink Buckley's when you had a cough?
No.
It's like
I
the
don't-
same type of thing, man. It's
Okay.
so disgusting.
Malort. We had when we played Riot Fest, they got us to do Malort there on camera too, and it was just like
Yeah, that was my first shot of Malort ever. Was that?
you
at Riot
did
Fest.
great though. I was miserable.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough. I went in pretty. I was feeling pretty good by the time I did that
Right.
shot, so it went down a little smoother. She took it sort of on the cuff,
Oh,
you know.
it was terrible.
at
Malort's
Fest,
like a
so-
Chicago thing, though, right?
for sure. That
Yeah.
was their
It
whole.
is,
That was
and
the
they
whole
love
thing there.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
yeah.
our
Is it like a
friends,
sponsor
like-
of Riot Fest or something, or no?
I suppose unofficially,
Maybe.
you know, but yeah,
Probably.
yeah,
Like
for
unofficial.
sure.
Yeah, I didn't know that about festivals either with the Monster Energy that are actually water. Have you played one of those festivals before?
I haven't, but I've heard the
yeah,
story.
it's like,
yeah,
man, this guy's crushing the monster.
this
And
guy,
then it
yeah.
just turns out it's water.
Just, yeah.
Yeah, it's eerie, man. Going backstage and thinking that you're about to get energetic and being disappointed by water on a hot day kind of
They're like tour water and a monster can.
You're just hydrating. Yeah.
I would much rather have water than Monster. I'm sorry if we ever have to do a thing and Monster's like, well, you know, Charlie said that she fucking hates it, so you can't be part of this show, but I'm sorry, it's like battery acid.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Like, I drink it in case of emergency. Like, if I have a long drive, then I'll do it. Although
Right on.
yesterday, who was it? Night Marathons was like, yeah, if I put tobacco in my lip, we drove 18 hours from
my
wherever. I'm like, dude, you're crazy. So this is your first ever pre-fest, obviously.
Not
right?
his.
No,
Have
we-
you played pre-fest
We
before?
did.
Okay.
So we didn't do an official pre-fest our first year, but our
Okay.
second year
Okay.
we did. We played at Tequila's, and that was so much fun. Yeah. So then last year we didn't play fest,
Right.
Which was like
That's because you had like an off year, right? Like,
for sure, and like
Yeah.
we were on tour. We were in Iowa,
Right.
you know. So we were out working, you know. But it's a weirdo thing, right? When all your friends are posting all this thing that you love so much, and you're like, oh, we're
We li-
nowhere near.
literally
that.
avoided Facebook and Instagram for
like,
3
yeah,
days because
yeah.
we're like, okay, like
Full
we get
FOMO.
it. We had fun that night,
We did for sure.
but you know, we missed it
yeah.
a lot.
is it like just the people or like the bands? Like, what bands are you looking forward to seeing? And like, everybody has like a friend that they made at Fest. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm sitting.
right. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. This
It's like,
is it.
this is
We're,
the epitome.
we're
That's
proving
why
the
I wanted to
concept.
ask you.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
people are like, how do I get into this? And it's like, just go to the stuff that you really enjoy and be super stoked about it.
That's it.
And-
Well, that's the cool thing, right? I think that's the big differentiator of Fest from like most other things. It's just like it's such a charge of like welcoming here. You know, it's kind of like you can just sort of infiltrate like a gang of friends and be like, let's do a shot, and like they're just going to bring you in, and you're like a part of the experience now, right? It's like you always walk out with more friends than you came in with, right? It's just like it has that. It's got a very utopian kind of vibe almost. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of like if we really sort of put things together and got it right, this is sort of how the world could function. But then sort of Sunday night comes and we go back to
It's
normal
sad. It's like
things.
camp
and it's-
ending.
yeah, and it's like too bad. But for a few days, you know, it's sort of like, wow, this is all right. It could be like this, you know. But alas, you know.
It's like, but your music kind of came into the world like that. I don't know if it was your intention, but like, it seems like after you put your music out, this crazy community formed. And I know you don't like to call your fans like fans, but what do you think it is about? I mean, dude, you went to Riot Fest. It's different from Fest or pre-Fest. Like, there's something weird about going to Gainesville or being down here, like you said, and meeting some people. Is it the music, or is it just like we're all like misfits in the same kind of way? Like, how can so many people
For sure.
not fit in the same way?
Right. For sure. I do think that's what it is, though, right? It's just like, I don't know, you know, if we sort of, it's really weird to put parameters on culture or society at all, but like, let's really think about, I don't know how many thousands of people are down here this weekend, but like, you know, mash that up against how many millions of people there are, like, in the US or the world. It's like, we really are a small percentage. When we all come together, we feel like, you know, we sort of have this like big number, but like, I don't know, you know, percentage wise, we are kind of, it's a small little
Small.
bunch, right? And you know, we're sort of these sensitive seekers, you know. I mean, we're not really wired to, I don't know, want to really, like when Charlie was talking about sort of the corporate world, it's like, you know, you get knocked around there all these weeks of the year, and then you kind of get to come down here and be around people that sort of, I don't know, see the world through those same, you know, Pabst colored glasses as you do, and it's nice, right? It's just like, all of a sudden you
Caps
feel.
colored glasses is like really great, by the way.
Oh, well,
You're killing
I
it
just
on
wanted to
the
tell
little
you that.
sayings
That was
too.
awesome.
On
Thanks,
Sound
Charlie.
Opinions, you're like, this is a song about being found or being lost and then getting found. And you're like, sorry guys.
yeah, right on.
You're really good at
I can't
that.
turn it off, man.
Yeah. And
You know?
like it's not just like interviews or anything. Like he's never like, I mean, like he'll be talking to me and then I'll be like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And we're talking about a fucking pizza or something.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, not the pizza, but
Now
you know.
now you know why I keep her around. You know, it's those little
I'm
bits
being
of.
serious though.
Little
I'm
confidence
always
boost.
like, that was so touching.
Dude, it's so hard to find like a tour manager that actually like cares about what happens like to your band. Like, and you've been
For
through
sure.
a few different iterations of like bands and units and fame and all kinds of stuff. So
For sure, like, and that's what it is for beach slang specific. And I think in a broader stroke, that's sort of the thing about Fest, right? It's like that's surrounding ourselves with sort of soft
yeah,
human beings, right? It's like that for us is the main thing. It's like, oh, and you can also play an instrument. Well, that's great, right? But the main sort of hurdle that you had to jump was, are you just a good human being? Like, do you genuinely care about the people around you? Yeah, and we have that in our cup overrunneth with that right now, which is great. But I think in like I said, in like larger brushstrokes, like that's how Fest feels. When I came down for the first one, and I came down with my band, but sort of just ran around alone because I just like sort of functioned better that way. And I just kept falling into really cool experiences, like drinking with new friends or finding out about a band I didn't know or just sort of high-fiving people down the street or people handing out beer on the street. It just had that thing that I love so much about punk rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Can
you
I-
talked. Oh, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say that first fest where we met was both of our first fests. So when James got there before I met him, he bought this trophy. Can I tell the story?
Sure.
Okay. He bought this trophy at like help me
When we
with
were
the word.
shopping for the Gilligan's Island
Okay,
costumes, we were just at like just at a thrift shop.
Thrift shop. Yeah. So the last day that we were both here, we were hanging out at Boca Fiesta, but he had to leave because they had to drive to the next thing or whatever. And then he pulls this trophy out of his backpack and goes, "I bought this to give to the coolest person that I meet while I'm here." And he gave it to me, and I was like,
that's awesome.
"That's it! Like we're friends forever now." Like,
Do you still have it?
Of course I do.
Hell yeah.
I still have I've got my Fest wristband over it and everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have like a place where you live right now, or are you kind of like in this mode where you're like, I'm going to be TM and I'm going to ride this wave?
So last April is when I started, and this June is the first time I've actually had lived somewhere. I've just been hopping around my aunt's house or a friend's house or wherever this whole time. So I just moved from technically Cincinnati
You're from Ohio, yeah.
to
That's the phone
Philly.
said. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, she was getting tired of those drives in to leave for tour, so it was like,
Yeah, dude.
It's 9 hours every
Yeah,
time we
there's
leave,
ton
which
of
is a
great
lot.
No, it's a
Bands
snap.
in Philly and I don't know. Kurt Weill's from Philly, right?
He is, yeah,
Have
sure.
do you ever collaborate with him, or no? He's
Oh,
kind
you
of
know.
all over the place.
yeah. I mean, I
When
wish.
he's
you
ready.
would, right?
Mr. Vile, if you're listening,
Kurt
let me
Weill,
know. Yeah.
what is it? Was it Cherry Hill? I don't think he lives. I forget which
Okay.
neighborhood he lives in.
Yeah,
he just
I'm not
moved,
sure,
he was
but-
telling me.
Okay, right on. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, because I think he's just absolutely brilliant.
Right.
I love his work. So if he's ever bored, I'm around.
Mr.
I'd love to have him go.
Yeah, that album with Courtney Barnett. So
Oh,
cool.
it's crazy. Yeah.
We were just talking about that last night.
Yeah.
So, is there any bands? Man, I was going to ask you about bands, but I want to ask you about tender people. You call them tender people, soft people.
Sure.
You've had a few albums come out. You've been interviewed by a ton of different people. You play tons of different situations. How are you able? Do you have to put a guard up to say, is this person do you get worried about that? Who is truly a tender, soft person, and who isn't? Have you experienced that at this point in your career?
Yeah, I think I'm sort of the opposite of putting a guard up. I mean, I think Charlie sort of keeps an eye on me to not have it too far down. I've given out my phone number from stage. I've
Right,
given
right.
out because I just if
You want to
sort-
hang?
Yeah, sort of. Or sort of with this precursor, because I'll get letters a lot that are pretty heavy and just and if I get one a day, right, we're out
Yeah.
on tour and I get one that day, it'll hit me particularly hard. So I'll just want to give out the number and sort of be like, look, if you're on the ledge, man, call me and I'm going to talk you. I'm
Yeah.
going to talk you down.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. We've since muzzled. Like if I'm like, and my number is 618. You know, Charlie starts.
You
sort
can
of,
literally
right.
hear me from side stage going, "Stop!"
Yeah, right.
You get a burner.
And then I'm like, oh, I'll probably like be happy I stopped later because like the first night I did it, we were in San Francisco and the phone looked like one of those, you know, those Pink Floyd laser light shows. It did that kind of thing. And then we had a discussion and my manager started to be like, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? He's like, I love that about you, but, you know, and then gave me this long sort of thing. But you know, that's that thing that I dig about, you know, punk rock. I dig about sort of the digital age of music. It sort of smashes that distance between band and listener, right? So I do my best personally in this band to sort of keep that down as well. I mean, obviously as the band grows, it's hard. It'd be a full-time job plus to just return everything. I'm trying my best. But yeah, no, I never want to guard up like that because I think it's a really sort of, that's a real necessary component about what beach slang is. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I used to get asked about it a lot when it kind of first started, and it's like you rarely use I language. It's always us or we. And I'm like, yeah, right. Well, that's purposeful, you know, and I want that to hang around not only in lyric, but in spirit.
And who I am and what I bring to
absolutely.
whatever
Because
room
like,
I'm in.
you know, I think people lose sight of that sometimes, particularly when you come to a show. It's very cyclical. Like, I would just be up there with my friends playing songs to like the wall, right? It's like, people who come to a show make a show great.
Right.
The band just has the dumb luck of being the noisemakers that night, right? But it's kind of like all of my favorite shows weren't necessarily how we played. It was energy that got thrown at us, right? So it's like, I wish I could talk to everybody about that personally, but it's like, it really is like, I hope people realize that. I guess they do on some level, but I hope they do enough because like all the shows I usually feel like, was I meant to do this? They're always the ones where like that didn't happen, right?
Okay.
But then when that does happen, I'm like, I'm never putting this guitar down, right?
Yeah.
I'm so easily affected by, you know,
How one show goes or what the sense is in the room. And
folks in the room, yeah.
so there's a need for you to like connect. Because I was going to ask you, because
Sure.
you talked about loving the process of writing songs.
For sure.
And then I was wondering, I was like, well, is going on the road, obviously financially you have to go on the road, but like, do you need the fans as much as you need writing songs? But it seems like you do.
Yeah, you know, I think I do because I look for, you know, for me it's about community. You know, it's certainly not about ego or, you know, low level fame or whatever I've achieved. I have no idea where I stand in this whole thing. But
Yeah,
like,
that was that same manager who was like, do you realize how big your band is getting?
oh yeah,
Right,
I got annihilated for that one. Yeah. So it's just like, but it's you know, that sense of community because I am very much, you know, you can attest to this, but very much a wallflower in real life. I mean, I'm a pretty painfully shy cat. So it's like rock and roll is sort of my like Clark Kent to Superman thing.
Right.
You know, it's like I get to sort of finally be able to talk to people, which has always been kind of difficult for me. So it is important for me not to feed anything that resembles vanity or ego, but just to be like, to make friends, you know? And like, now that like that has sort of happened and now we go into all these cities all over the place and I have people there that I can't wait to hang out with, you know, man, that feels pretty great, right? So I really, I dig that a whole bunch.
Do you have to put up like a block? Like Julian Baker said, like if she knew what her record was going to do, she might not have written as personal. Like, do you ever have to put like a filter on your lyrics? Because you know that there are some kids like kind of hanging on your lyrics, man. It's crazy.
Right.
Like, do you ever like withhold things or maybe keep a song off a record and save it?
I don't know, man. I think for me, that's the reason to sort of bear it more, you know,
Okay.
because there's going to be that kid that needs it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I mean, you know, to each their own for sure, because I think Julian Baker's brilliant, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like I want everybody, you know, everybody's sort of process should be their own. But for me, it's like, you know, what if I trim that lyric or that song that like, that later is the one that's like the kid told me that's what kept them going. It's like, wasn't on that record, like maybe you didn't keep going, right? So it's like, no, for me, I suppose it flips it and it kind of does the opposite. It's just like, because if I can't like tear it open and I don't know if then even if it is connecting, is it a true connect?
Right.
Because it's sort of this strategically sculpted.
You just can't live in
version
that
of it.
space where you question whether or not.
That's right.
You'd rather just crash and burn.
Without a doubt,
Right,
man.
right,
That's
right.
absolutely my approach for sure.
Yeah, you're not trying to put out like this polished thing and die like, you know, what do they call it? Phone it in on one song on one record. That's not how
for
it
sure.
goes.
That's never an option. Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask you about your kid? Because you've talked about how rock and roll kind of obviously you just said it. Everything you just said, rock and roll is the reason you exist. It's why you're here. It's why you have community. It's why you have meaning. But like, first off, how old's your kid? What's his or her name? And then I want to ask you like what is the kid giving you that music maybe couldn't have?
Yeah, well, I just had a second son. So
okay, so you have two sons?
Yeah, I have a 2.5-year-old son named Oliver, and I have a almost 5-month-old son named Asher.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, other than being...
I know you have two modes, too. You have, like, tour mode, beach slang, and then dad mode.
For sure.
You said. I don't know anything about you.
Yeah,
right?
it's
like, you're
so
you.
cool
I mean,
like that.
I
Yeah.
write some shit.
Yeah, it's wild. It's just like, I mean, look, it's weird. My two best friends in the world now are both under 3 years old. That's weird, right?
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? So I get to now, like, sort of relive sort of seeing life without any cultural concern, right? Like if we're out at the store and Oliver wants me to wear sort of a crown with him, I get to put on a crown and walk through the store, and it's like people are like, oh, that's great. Now had I done that before him, it's like it's that you sort of wince and take two steps back from this cat, right? But I think most importantly what they've done is they sort of like they've shifted my perspective as to I think about what I'm leaving in the world now, So when I make things or I write things or I teach things to those guys, it's like, it's all about sort of, am I making things that make the world, like when I'm dust, like, and people dig up these records or these things that I write, is it going to be a force of good, right? And for Ali and Asher, is it going to be like, you're better human beings because I was your dad, right?
Yeah.
And everything's sort of now sort of defined by those two modes. And it's like, it's really ridiculous. And I had this dream one night, and it was just sort of like, it was about sort of the evolution, the evolving humankind, right? And I was kind of like, when we become like our most perfect version of ourselves, is that when we die, right? And then I was like, as I'm sort of learning all of this and doing this, I was like, oh man, Am I at like
where am I
stage
at,
8?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I was just like, should I like start
That'd
getting
be a
like
little
my
shittier.
insurance in place? Yeah. And I was like, but I really have been on this really sort of weirdo quest to like, man, really want to do nothing but good. And I think it's this like utter kick of dad thing now, because like when Oliver looks up at me, like, I mean, that cat thinks I built the trees and the moon and all this stuff. Like he thinks like I'm like, I just don't want to let him down,
Right.
And look, man, that's always resonated in beach slang too. Like my big thing now, like, we have one mode when we play, and that's like all the way, right? And the reason for that is like, when we first started playing shows, I don't know, maybe it was $10 to come see us, as it trickled up to 15, as it starts to make its way to 20, I want to make sure people walk out of there and it's like, I would have spent 40 to see that. I would have spent, because it's like, man, I know what it's like to go to a job you may not necessarily love, and now you drop down $20 to get into this thing. Mm-hmm. I want to like bleed for you, right? It's like, I guess I just want to be I'm rambling here, but I guess I just want to be like sort of the best version of myself. Yeah, man, that I can be, but not say that in like a really cliched inspirational poster on the wall way. Like really
live it.
Effing mean it, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm even trying to cut down on the cursing, man, because Ollie's starting to talk, so it's like
in front of the kids.
I have to do too.
Yeah, it's like,
I go over there pretty often.
Yeah,
Right.
You're
Like, put that fucking
I don't
thing
need
down.
Yeah, it's like, hey dad, can I have my fucking bottle? We can't
It's like
have
fucking
that,
Ricky Bobby or something.
That's it, man. So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that it was so because his voice, Ollie, is just so because little 2-year-old boy is
I think
so
you should
cute.
imitate the voice.
I'm about to.
Okay.
So I told James one day that you guys are going to be playing whatever. He's going to be playing with blocks, and then he's just going to look up and go, "Dad, fuck," and then you're just going to be like, "Oh no."
Totally, yeah, because you can't put that genie back in the bottle, right?
Right.
So he's like the kid going to kindergarten. It's
'Cause he
like, where did you
repeats.
learn that from? And it's like, Oliver, right? And then it's like, here comes the calls, right? It's like, so we're trying to, we're right at that cusp, right?
But it's all about the reaction, right? Because like if you react, and then they're like, "Oh, when I say fuck,
that's
my
right.
dad laughs," and you're like, "I just want to make my dad laugh all the time."
And that's just it, right? And like, and I Unfortunately, I most likely would laugh, right? Yeah. For
But there's
sure.
worse things your kids can be than a cursor,
That's just it,
right?
For sure, man.
Did
for
you ever
sure.
think about being a dad? Like, now that you are a dad, like, do you notice like old lyrics in your songs where maybe you were kind of revealing some things about yourself that you like didn't really necessarily know about yourself when you wrote the song? And
think
I know you have
so.
Quiet Slang now, but are any new songs?
No,
reflecting
Quiet
fatherhood?
Slang, the first record for that's going to be all sort of these. So it's just me, piano, and cello, right? But they're all reworkings of Beach Slang songs,
Right.
which I wanted the first one
Yeah.
to be. But I think to your question, I mean, a lot of. I won't get too far into like my childhood because it was.
Oh, you've told that story a ton.
It's a wreck, right?
Yeah.
So, but a lot of my lyrics do have to do with. I refer to him as my birth father, right? So,
Yep.
I think it sort of did speak to my approach to maybe one day being a dad through that, not so great son, the role of son,
Sure.
right? That I sort of. Yeah, I think that helped define who I was going to be as a dad, if I were ever going to be one. I didn't know if I was cut from the right cloth because I didn't really have, if you have a really
Examples and stuff like
precisely,
that.
man.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no, if you have that, you're sort of like, oh, I can't wait to sort of pay this forward and teach this,
Right.
teach my kid how to shave like my
Right.
dad did.
Oh, God.
So it's like I'm sort of just. I look down and I'm like, look, kid, man, we're going to wing it together, But
Listen, man.
what I'm going to do is love you,
Right.
like probably more than you want it, but that's going to be there for you. And then we'll just figure out the rest of it together, It's like, if we have that in place, we're cool. But I think like, yeah, man, I think a lot of what I've written has kind of been about that. I think it's taken on more universal sort. You can sort of apply it to whatever your particular struggle is. At the end of the day, it's more, it's more like these chants of, we're here, we're alive, and John Lennon said, I think if we still got air in our lungs and we have hope,
Sure.
we're all right, right? So it's sort of that, man. Like I'm this sort of desperate optimist, So I think most of the songs come off sort of in that way, but they're rooted in sort of twisting. You sort of twist junk in the light, and I think that's
Right.
what I've had good luck doing so far.
Yeah.
See if I can continue.
So going off the hope thing, down the road, whenever Ollie and Asher, you said,
Yeah.
listen to this. Who's getting Paul Westerberg's guitar? So I don't know if you know this. So they just talked with Tommy. So
right, yeah.
this guy
Very
loves
cool.
the Mats, right?
Yeah.
And he got, am I telling this right? You got your guitar stolen.
That's right.
And then Tommy was like, I got something for you.
Yeah. Tommy
And it's
reached out.
Paul's guitar.
It was really incredible. Yeah, Tommy took us out for like a week, and we just really hit it off. And we had been talking. He was interested in like producing a record for us and stuff, which is just like, I'm all over the place, right? But I remember,
make that noise, and I wish that you.
I know I had to cool it up for the thing, and then like,
Oh,
yeah,
did you make a noise when you said it?
No, he was
Oh.
gonna do the.
yeah, I was just imitating how my
Yada,
brain
yada.
just went to mush, And I remember the last day of shows when he invited us on his, bandwagon and stuff, and we just did a shot with him. And I just remember kind of coming off and just looking at Charlie, and I was like, I just did a shot with Tommy Stinson, right? So I do a tour, and it's that tour I ended up. It was meant to be a full Beach Slang tour, and we had sort of our.
Sure,
thing
the-
happen,
the
but I went out
famous
by
thing,
myself,
yeah.
And tour was great, and I had like it was really sort of cathartic and all these things, and then the last night we play Austin, and it was really great, and then so our stuff gets jacked that night.
Yep.
That night, I mean, we're ready to just sleep a couple hours to start driving back to Philadelphia. And get home, we're sort of devastated or whatever. Like that day, Tommy is like, I got something for you, and he gives me one of Paul's guitars. So it's just, who's gonna get that? There's the breakdown of tenderness. I'll just hand him each a pair of boxing mitts.
Right.
Have at it,
Like,
gents.
have it,
Whoever,
yeah.
two
was
kids
it
enter.
Marky
and-
Mark? And was that a Philly movie where he was a boxer? Was that Marky Mark?
Oh,
I'm not trying to think of Rocky. There was another one, right? Wasn't he? A
Oh
boxer
yeah,
or
that
something?
the fighter movie.
Something
Yeah,
like
he did
that.
Invincible.
Oh, yeah.
He did the football movie.
Oh, maybe that's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see. That'll be like right now. That's probably the best thing I have to leave behind is that guitar.
No, it's funny too because people asked like, when you got it.
Right.
Oh man, can I see it when you're in my
Yeah,
city?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, you gotta be out of your goddamn mind if you.
Oh, you
think
don't
we're
bring it on
taking
tour?
that. No,
Oh, no way.
there's
Oh,
People
no
will ask
way.
me pretty much at every show, can I just like play a chord on it? I was like, I'm not bringing that. I got that guitar because mine was stolen.
Right.
I'm never going to get
Right.
another Paul Westerberg guitar.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's under like laser lock and key.
Oh,
in
that's
that
awesome.
Little home studio. Yeah, but I am going to record. I'm going to use that guitar on every song for some part.
Okay.
Next record. I mean, it won't obviously be the only guitar I use, but I want to make sure it's on every song on the next.
Has it
Loud
surprised
record.
you in like the way that it sounds at all? Like you think you know what the guitar is going to sound like when you acquire it?
Yeah, I mean, it was like it sounded like it does when I play guitar, and I was like, damn it, I wanted to
It's like
sound like it
so
does when
normal,
he
right?
plays it, right? Like I just
wanted the
thought,
juju.
yeah, I was trying to just maybe see if I could just, wrap up something really. Like I was like, oh, is there still a song or two tucked in this thing? And I was
Right.
like, we'll see. There's still time. I'm still writing, but it's come on, it's probably the coolest material thing I've ever gotten, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Pretty all right, yeah.
So I don't mean to take it back down a negative route, but do you have the November Salt Lake City date kind of circled on the calendar as like
Oh yeah,
like a pretty big show for you?
yeah. Well, what was really cool, man? When was it with Jimmy or Minus? We did 2 back-to-back tours, support tours last year.
Right,
with
Jimmy Eat
Minus
World
the Bear
was
right
one.
into Jimmy Eat
Yeah.
World. With Jimmy Eat World, then I think one of those tours we went through Salt Lake City, and I remember being so nervous because I
Yeah.
was just like, are people going to be like, remember what you did here? Because that was such a brutal night, and in so many ways, and it was. Man, it was never anger. It was sadness. And I'll spare everybody what was going on behind the scenes.
Everybody knows it or thinks they know. It's all been written about.
Yeah. It has, I think, with like varying degrees of truth. But whatever, right? I mean, some things are best left to folklore and fodder, and I think that's become that. If anybody ever really cares about truth, because it was very easy to sort of like stomp your boot on our throats at the time, and it was kind of like, you've never even listened to a song by us, and now you're like sort of you have the most clear opinion about what happened,
Experts,
right?
man.
Yeah, it was unreal, and that was a real wake up call into like how it can be. And I suppose that really, and I think what it did is those folks I suppose got the opposite reaction from me. I think they desired me to feel broken or angry or sort of
Standard internet troll.
right,
type
man.
stuff,
And
dude.
I think what it did was it solidified how beautiful people who surround this band are. And I was like, see, you failed again trying to be like not a good person, right? So it's like you can stay stuck in that prison, or you can kind of like sort of lighten your mode and like, yeah, you don't have to dig beach slang, but like my encouragement would be like, okay, cool, you gave it a shot, you don't dig it, like here's this band that I could turn you on to that you might really love. Like, let's be in it together, man. Like, there's like man, there's child soldiers, there's like, kids working in mines, there's like a wall being prototyped right
Yeah.
now between the US and Mexico.
Yeah.
It's like, can you take a stand that's a little more significant
Seriously,
than
like get off a pitchfork.
right. It's just
and
like
go like volunteer at like a soup kitchen or
right,
something.
man. It's just like it seems like a really weird thing. I was kind of like, look, to me, man, and I will define beach slang like this forever. To me, it's always going to be like it's just me playing songs with my friends and hoping some of our friends show up. I didn't even realize we were big enough for you to care. Like we woke up that day, I was shocked by how much it was over the internet.
was
Like
wild.
sincerely shocked though. Like not like, oh, I didn't realize. I mean, I genuinely didn't know, and I was just like, yeah, man, we had a bad night, like every band has, right?
Yeah.
It's just like. I didn't realize you cared so much. It was like, even if you spoke ill of us, it was kind of
Right.
like you cared enough to take time and like write something. And it was just like, but I was kind of like, cool, well, like, be gentle, man, because this might be your brother's band tomorrow night. And if I
Right.
was on there like railing against him, you'd probably be like, well, yeah, but you don't understand, man. His dad just died.
Right.
And you didn't even take
There's a
the
lot
time
that you
to-
just don't know about
But that's
people
just it.
in general.
So it was weird. But like, I guess my point to that is like, it really allowed me to see how lucky beach slang is for whatever sort of weirdo magnet we sort of pulse out. Man, we really draw the right humans in.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many more there are left in the world, but I hope we can find them, right? Because I dig where our band is right now size-wise, but like, if it got bigger with the right kind of people, that'd be great. I mean, we've taken now to hanging up a sign at our merch table, and it just says, if you're racist, sexist, or
Yeah,
homophobic,
it's your pinned tweet.
yeah, man, the
Yeah.
pin tweet, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't don't buy our records, don't listen to our records, don't wear our shirts, don't come to our shows. We
Yeah.
don't want your money, and that's just like that's phase 2 of like weeding out just garbage,
Shitheads.
because it's just like we experienced it. Just our last show was in Atlanta, and Charlie sort of fell into this situation where it was just like, oh man, people still think this way,
Yeah.
and you think it's just. We get to live in this fantasy land
Yeah.
that's called beach slang, right? And then you get back into the real world, and then I don't know, we were at a bar and we saw the prototypes for the wall thing, and we were just
They finally
"Man."
came off like the Homeland Security Twitter feed. They were posting them or something, right?
Right. So we're just like, look, we're not this uber political band. I mean, our politics are basically the golden rule, be
Yeah.
sweet to each other,
Sweet,
right?
man.
But there's a time maybe you got to take a little step further, and I suppose that time's being heaved upon us. I mean,
You have two choices. You can either not say anything and play the music,
Right.
or say what you feel and see what happens.
That's
it's not
it,
like you're
right.
like a perfect person. Like we can't hold you up as like a totem or like
Oh,
a
yeah,
symbol
yeah,
of,
yeah.
like holiness and like
For sure.
the be all end all
for
right?
sure, man. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, Trump's making pretty easy fodder for us to rally together, you know. So
And
Unfortunately.
the saddest part is that like it's just like the Trump thing is real. Like it'd be funny if it wasn't real.
well, that's the thing, right? You still wake up thinking like, oh, that was on SNL last night, right? No, that
No,
really
no,
happened,
it's
right?
real.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
mind blowing, like
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
So should we close it with the bands that you want to see here in Ybor? Not, I don't know how much of the schedule you looked at down here, but what bands you're looking forward to see?
Yeah, well, like I alluded to earlier, and I hope. Let me say this, man. I hope I
Yeah.
didn't ramble too much. I'm
Dude,
a known
you're not.
rambler. I
I'm,
apologize
like,
to everybody
so
who
stoked
talks to
that,
me.
like,
Okay.
you don't think I'm weird or that like you're just awesome. Like,
Oh no,
you
man.
know what I mean?
We'll
So-
hit it off. You're out drinking later, man. Look us
Yeah,
up.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll bring the Malort, man. That
Oh,
would be crazy.
Please,
Nice.
please do not bring it away.
I know who has the Malort.
That's
Like
it.
Chicago people.
Oh,
do,
right
who,
on,
like,
man.
I know brought Malort.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, though, like I alluded to earlier, man, we do sort of tend to just float around and fly into things. With that said, I mean, I came up a massive fan of the Smoking Popes, and they play right before us tonight. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty
Damn,
like,
you missed the Smoking Popes New World Brewery show. I don't know if you remember New World Brewery that was down there.
oh, I
It's
don't
like-
know that I
The
do.
cap was like 124.
Oh.
And the Smoking Popes played there like 6 years ago. Maybe,
That's amazing.
And it was
Okay.
crazy.
Oh, that's
I'm
awesome.
sorry I cut you off.
No, please. But I'm super excited for that. Like, we just made friends with the Dirty Nil a little while. On that tour we were in. Was it the UK together?
We played.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the
UK
UK.
together, and we just like really hit it off
Yeah.
together. We started talking about Big Star all night, and that was great.
Yeah, I love this hoodie, man.
Oh, thanks,
Can't
man.
believe you're not hot and sweaty.
I know. I came out and I was like, oh, it feels pretty
He's
good.
got
Oh.
this thing. I don't get it. It'll literally be like 95 degrees outside. He's got this outfit on, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Crushing
this is
it.
dying
Are you wearing a
right
sport
now.
coat tonight, or are you wearing that?
Oh, sport coat.
Yeah.
Ruffles,
Are you
bow
going to
tie.
tell us what pins are on there? Are they the same pins every show, or do they change?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what. I wanted to get concise with my messaging.
Okay.
So I shredded the pins, and now I've got this. Charlie sewed it on. I got this heart patch that just says "Nobody's nothing."
That's new merch, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Although somebody
yeah.
trademarked that.
Yeah, it's out. It's out
Okay.
there. Trust me.
All
I,
right.
I wish it was mine. It'd be on the table for sure.
We
You
do
know.
have cute little patches, though. I don't want to, you can buy
You're
our
like,
merch.
hey, by the way, I got a CD, and you
Oh,
can
I
stream
should
it
have
on
like
Spotify.
jingle music, and you could have started talking about the merch. But yeah, and like Super Chunk's playing, Against Me's playing,
Yeah.
and I don't know. We're just gonna kind of bounce around and do it. I saw even like cover sets too. I saw a Stones cover set and a Jawbreaker cover set and a Clash cover set.
Yeah.
And
You're going to do the Matt's cover tonight?
oh yeah, I'm sure we
Yeah.
will. Yep. Yeah.
Ooh,
for
anybody
sure.
going to sing along tonight with you? Any from other bands joining?
Oh, we don't have that planned, but
Okay.
we're not
never
planners.
know. Okay.
That's the
Really,
thing about
What if
everybody-
Slang.
somebody from the Smoking Popes came out and did the Matt's cover with you?
Oh, I should talk to Josh.
You should.
Yeah, maybe you just planted something that would be.
Yeah, that'd be so
That'd be
rad.
pretty cool for me. I'd
Yeah.
be way into that. You can't. It doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna just. I'll give it a go for
A
sure.
little pressure
Yeah.
sale.
And
Yeah.
before we finish this up, I have one shout out to do for one person.
yes.
I'm sorry, Michelle, I couldn't print out your face for a signature. I wanted to have you sign this girl's face. Our intern loves you very passionately.
Aw.
And she couldn't come, and her response was, I'm so upset right now. And she said in the title, Sobbing at Lunch, Essays About a Brokenhearted Intern.
No.
So I just have to mention her to you because she would appreciate that.
Oh, Michelle, that's very sweet. I hope I did all right by you on this.
Let's.
interview.
I brought that notebook. Let's draw or something. You can sign that.
Oh, Michelle, we're gonna draw you something and sign it. Is that cool if we do that? Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie's
awesome.
Charlie's a bit of a pretty phenomenal caricature artist. That flies under the radar way too much.